All right, welcome to Let's Accelerate. My name is Michael. We have Uva and Levent. We're all from Bosch Management Consulting. We run the Bosch Accelerator program. And today we have a very special guest that Levent is going to introduce.
All right. Today, actually, we are really proud to have Mr. Stephen Young from Bosch Turkey in our podcast. So let me just give you some backup information. So Stephen is a special person who was born in Turkey, raised in Australia, and studied in Sydney, Australia. I think you have an engineering and management degree there. You started your work life at Mannesmann Rexroth back then in '88, then became managing director of Rexroth Turkey in the age of just 30. Then after the acquisition of Mannesmann Rexroth by Bosch in 2001, you became the managing director of Bosch Rexroth in Turkey. And since 2011, Stephen Bey, as we say in Turkish, is the president of Bosch Turkey and Middle East, responsible for over 18,000 employees and a revenue of 3.6 billion. I think these are the rough figures from last year. And let's get started right ahead. So our sources, Stephen Bey, also tell us that you actually started your work life even earlier. So in the age of 10, you started to sell newspapers back in Australia, and when you were 17, you opened up your first small business. Could you tell us more about that, and how was it to become a first entrepreneur back as a teenager?
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me and having me on this program. I feel privileged about that. Basically, my life has been continuously just working, and I've always chosen lines of work that have been with people, that had something to do with people. And I've always appreciated the fact that people are at the center of all of our businesses, our innovation, whatever the case may be, our daily life. And I'm a people's person, basically. So I feel comfortable dealing with people and managing relationships with people. And that has drawn me into the workforce at such a young age, selling newspapers in the streets of Sydney. At those years, of course, we didn't have internet, and people had to go and buy newspapers. And when you consider the average age, senior people, elderly people, retired people, and they wanted to have their newspaper for breakfast on the weekend, either they had to go and get it or somebody had to bring the newspaper to them. So I took the latter. And I was walking around the streets selling newspapers to people between 7 and 10 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, this started with newspapers, but soon after I found out people had other needs, for breakfast, a little bit of milk or this, or a loaf of bread, something like that. So basically, I became a mobile supermarket at the age of 12 or 13. And the tips were good because people appreciated somebody thinking out of the box and bringing them just more than newspapers. And I found out at an early age that if you could identify the needs of the people and address those needs in a way that would add value to their life or their requirements, you were rewarded for that. Mm-hmm. So at an early age, I became financially independent. I purchased my own car 1 year before I was eligible to drive, like the age was 17 at that time. When I was 16, I had enough money to buy my own car. So basically, since then, I've been putting myself through life more or less self-independent, self-sufficient, I could say. Some of the things that I've done, basically, I'll answer it the other way around. There is not much that I haven't done. Yeah, I've worked at Pizza Hut, Woolworths. I've worked in factories. I've established my own company in lawn and garden area because there was also a requirement in Australia at the time that there were a lot of elderly people who could not maintain their own gardens. So somebody had to do it for them, yeah. And I saw this as an opportunity. When I bought my car, I put a little trailer on the back, put all the equipment, and I was going around doing lawns and gardens. And that was also a good source of additional income. And that also led me into my second job where I started repairing equipment, repairing lawnmowers. But I think I'll stop here right now. And if you want now or later, I could go into more details. But basically, I can say that I've been working and working with people, identifying the needs and requirements of people and meeting them in a value-adding way and being rewarded for it. And I've had fun doing it, I must say. It's been good financially, but I've also had a great deal of fun. I love talking to people, meeting people. It brings diversity into your life, and I think diversity is enrichment as well.
Okay, so I think your camera was away for a sec, but you're back again. So great. So thank you very much, Stephen B, for this introduction. So I think this is just a very great introduction to the accelerated topic what we have. So also coming back to the referring to our accelerated community. So now you've heard actually three major items of our whole program what we run in parallel, which is number one, go out and find a big problem of people in order to solve, have fun solving it. And the third thing, what you also mentioned, make money solving that problem. I think great example starting in early years. And by the way, I don't know whether you were a competitor or customer of PT back then in Australia.
Well, basically, I was able to buy my own equipment at a time when I was very young, and I realized that I wasn't rich enough to buy the cheapest equipment, so I had to buy good equipment. And but buy good equipment at a good rate. So it was not easy earning money. So you also had to be very disciplined in spending or how you invest your money. And therefore, I see myself through my relationship with people as a good negotiator. And I was able to buy Bosch equipment at a very good rate. And when I came to Turkey, I brought all those equipment with me. So I mean, our guys, they saw this equipment 35 years old in the department, and the service department had a ball fixing this equipment, which was still in good condition, I must say.
So what's interesting, I really love this newspaper, how you became a newspaper deliverer, and you've always managed to find the needs, and you've kept that entrepreneurial spirit. And now you're at Bosch, and I'm going to ask you a little bit of a provocative question. Have you been able to maintain that spirit? Because there's often this perception that corporate crushes entrepreneurial spirit. So one, have you been able to maintain it? And then two, how have you done that? And how have you been able to juggle executing a business, right? The known businesses, and then searching for new ones, keeping that entrepreneurial spirit alive?
Yeah, I mean, look, not everyone's an entrepreneur. And not everyone's an expert in the field they work in. So in a successful company, you have to have a good balance of the two. Yeah, and I think this is important. So it's important to identify the entrepreneurial types and encourage them. Otherwise, if you tie their hands and if you cage them, you won't be able to get the best out of them. So basically, I've been fortunate that I've had this background, and for myself, I've always encouraged the people that I work with in a close sphere or in the outer sphere to push beyond the limits, to go beyond the limits. Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to ask you why you're successful. I mean, you should develop yourself, look to find the way for success. As long as you stay within a corporate culture and the legal requirements of doing business, I think you can be creative and innovative in what you do. So I've always encouraged people and pushed people to think beyond the horizon. Yeah, look, I mean, there is a world over that, beyond that. So the sooner we find it out, the competitive advantage is then with us, because one day somebody else is going to find out what's beyond the horizon. And that's what development's all about, both technological development and also corporate development as well. I mean, of course, the products and the technologies that we have in our lives are not comparable with 30 years ago, nor is the way we work. I mean, basically, if you just have a look at the physical spaces in our offices, we're talking about desk sharing. You know, in Bosch, we call this inspiring working conditions. By the way, The central building we built, designed and built in Istanbul in 2015, was the first complete building to be designed and erected to inspiring working conditions within Bosch. So we feel very proud of that. So we also feel that we're very progressive here in Turkey within the Bosch world. Of the total, I would say 60 initiatives that we have been involved in the last 7 or 8 years, 10% of them have been pilot initiatives of Bosch worldwide. So we, as Turkey and Middle East, have also been a good test bench for Bosch's new ideas. And we've always been very happy about this. And one of this is the home office issue. So since 2015, we were one of the 3 countries worldwide to start to work home office. We started with 2 days a month, and within 6 months, we were up to 4 days a month. So when we're talking about agility, flexible working conditions, and things like that. So by the time this Corona thing came around and people had to go and work from home, we managed to switch 100% within 1 day. Technically, we were ready. Processes, people were accustomed to working remotely. Yeah, I mean, we call it home office, but we allowed people to work from a coffee shop or wherever they were, as long as they were online. Business continuity was not affected. That the customers and the company's requirements kept on going as well. And we found our productivity increased because Istanbul is a metropole with 18 million people. And rather than spend 3 hours each day going backwards and forwards from work, people working from home had a greater output, and they also had a greater level of satisfaction. So, I mean, when we look at that, we've done a lot of new things here in Turkey and in the Middle East as well. But 30 years ago, if you said, look, I'm going to let people go and work from home or Starbucks or whatever 4 days a month, they'd laugh at you. They wouldn't accept it. We also had individual offices, which were like boxes, you know, one after another sort of thing. You know, those physical walls also represented walls within the functions or departments within a company, which basically was a handicap. It did not encourage creativity. You get creativity when people come together from various backgrounds and they talk to each other. And then they have this really creativity environment where they could do things together. The engineer, the sales guys, the production guy, the R&D guy, they come together, they create things. So basically these sort of things we've encouraged here have helped a lot. Of course, we've had some tailwind. I must also be very open there. I mean, Turkey's average age is 30, which is very young, and Bosch Turkey's average age is 34. So it's been extremely rewarding for us as managers to be able to implement these new ideas, because we've had a great deal of ownership from the people for these new changes, and we've been very effective with these changes as well. So having said that, we've always been able to keep at the forefront of change, both in corporate culture and also, of course, the technology. I mean, we've got 4 R&D centers, 1 design center here in Turkey in our operations. And I think I would be safe in saying that business units are extremely happy with the performance that we're giving here, both in R&D and also in production here. I have to do a bit of PR for my people, I must say. They're doing an excellent job. Yeah. I mean, we have almost 18,000 people working for the group. It's one of the largest locations, so I have to take care of my people as well. Reward where reward is due.
What I found very interesting that you're saying you managed also to introduce services and products into the market which were totally new for Bosch on a global scale. And I really would like to pick up on Michael's question. So how do you actually manage? And because we've seen it, around the globe at Bosch, but it's also similar true for so many organizations around the globe. How can you actually, or have you managed to develop your existing core business and simultaneously develop new businesses? How can you make this happen? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Uwe, once you break down the barriers and the walls within the company, then everybody has a mindset that doesn't matter which department we work for or whatever, which GB, we are one company. Yeah. So basically, I think this is a starting point. And then you inject diversity into this. So you have people in teams of diverse backgrounds. I mean, in Turkey and Middle East, we have over 16 countries and 21 nationalities, right? And I think diversity is enrichment. So people are also able to enrich this 360 view as well. And you are tolerant towards new ideas. You are tolerant towards people making errors. You develop a culture which allows for this, yeah? Of course, you don't make it 3 times. You learn something from it. But you fail and you learn something from this failure. And that makes you even stronger before when you failed, yeah? So we allowed this culture of tolerance in here, and then new business models started to develop, yeah? And based on these new business models, we were able to implement things into the market which the competition did not have or was not even thinking, right? And with these synergies, we were able to tap into untapped areas without any investment, basically, just thinking about these sort of things. I mean, I give you some examples here. We found 2 business units, DC and AA, Rexroth and aftermarket. We found in the diesel area that a lot of the AA business partners, they were servicing and repairing or supplying equipment which also had a lot of Rexroth hydraulics on them, like construction equipment, agricultural equipment, and so on. So we developed a model here where the AA and the DC GBs would come together and they would enable one of the 2 to be able to serve both on the same machine. So we're just gaining extra market share here without any investment. And of course, the AA dealers started also serving the Rexroth hydraulics on the machine, which they were doing, let's say, diesel injection system repairs or supplies or something like that. So we got some synergies out of there as well. We also got a lot of synergies out of cross-selling. I think the cross-selling crew here in Turkey and Middle East have received every prize that is to receive here. We've got a lot of good practices here. We've started direct sales in PT to the customers, to the end customers in the construction area. We are collaborating with, for example, construction companies in Turkey are extremely strong and very active worldwide.
Stephen, let me interrupt you. This sounds like everything is perfect, yeah? And since this podcast is also about let's accelerate and also let's work on necessary changes, yeah? What is missing? Not necessarily in Turkey, of course, beyond in other countries or at Bosch, and maybe also just in the corporate environment. What have you seen? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I go back to my initial statement. I think mindset change is very important. If we're going to encourage creativity, I really feel the need that people need to have more responsibility. They need more empowerment. They need to be able to make their own decisions, take the consequences for their own decisions, be rewarded or be coached if necessary, but they should not be asking their superiors all the time and in written mail that, yes, I must do this. Yeah, they should take the initiative and do it. So basically, we in our region, we've taken the initiative, but I think worldwide, when you're leading a company with 400,000 people, or when you have a company with 400,000 situated all around the world, you need to make this a consistent and systematic corporate culture where people feel okay with making decisions on their own, okay with taking risks, calculated risks, okay with taking an initiative and looking to see what's beyond the horizon in that area. So I think these are the sort of things we need to address. Of course, you can't do this overnight. It's a big company. And we as leaders, we need to drive this change as well. And this is what I've been trying to do in my sphere of responsibility.
Just to give you some credit, so we're running this acceleration program together with Grow. We're looking at new fields of business. And it's not just buzzwords that you're throwing out. It's that, everyone says we need a mindset change. What we've seen from the people from Turkey, your employees, they really have embraced this new way of thinking about business. They've really gone out and they've taken ownership during our program. But what interests me is, why did you decide to enter this program together with us and with Grow to look at new business models?
First of all, I felt there's a lot Bosch Turkey and Middle East could contribute to Bosch. Point one. I also felt that we would have a higher degree of satisfaction and loyalty to the company for our employees if they're able to contribute to Bosch Global success. And three, I think that we need to share the success. I mean, it's also fun for them as well. And we also want to become a successful employer here in Turkey or in the Middle East. And our ambassadors are our people. So rather than we go out and advertise ourselves, if our associates with real examples are able to tell their friends the corporate life here in Turkey or in the Middle East, that makes us automatically a more attractive employer. Mm-hmm. So put all these together, I think we had a good basis to create a win-win and win situation.
Just to comment on...
And we pushed hard for this. I mean, you know that we pushed hard for this, yeah, to get in. And we've got some good ideas. And I think of the 4 ideas, the 2 are in validation phase 2 right now. And they seem to be doing okay. And
they're doing better than okay, Stephen. Let's be honest. They're very. Right. I would say they are exemplary teams that have really embraced the way that we think about new businesses and how we validate them. But one thing I want to just comment on is you keep mentioning innovation as an organizational problem. That's something we always talk about. It's really an organizational problem, a mindset problem, a leadership problem. It's not the case that if you just have the best technology and you just pump it out, people will just buy it, right? Sort of this field of dreams approach. That connects back to your childhood, right? That you have to go out and solve the problem. You have to understand the problem, but you also have the ability. You have to have the ability to deliver, right? And so, what I've understood from listening to you, and maybe you have some comments, is that you've set up an organization you're trying to that can do both: understand the problems and deliver.
I mean, let's just define what we all understand by innovation. And if people are just interpreting innovation as technological innovation, I think that's half the story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have innovation with marketing practices, our business models, customer requirements, customer behavior. So these are the sort of areas that we really were looking at, and we create this pull effect from the market, and the technology would, of course, follow that and meet that. So I think we need to make sure that we don't sell ourselves short by just thinking of innovation equals technological innovation. It's the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, at a very young age, I was 17, 18 at the time. Again, going back to my childhood in Sydney, Australia, I spotted an opportunity in the market which just opened up overnight due to some regulation changes in mortgage requirements in home ownership. And I thought, okay, I can be a player in this area. So basically what the situation was, the Australian government was very keen on contributing towards greater home ownership. So they relaxed the mortgage requirement rules so more people would qualify for the mortgage and they could buy more homes. So by relaxing that, of course, a lot of people on a tight budget were able to buy a home. But they only had sufficient funds to get the loan and get into that house, but they needed things to mow their lawns or garden equipment. Again, I come back to the other business. And I found that lawnmowers was an interesting line of business. So rather than these people buy a lawnmower, if they had the choice of buying a retrofit lawnmower, which was almost as good as the new one for relatively lower price, maybe half the price, this would be a viable an option for them, an alternative for them. And because they just need to cut the grass, basically. So they didn't want to pay twice the money. So basically what I did was I spotted this gap in the market. We didn't have to sell it for 10% profit as long as the pricing was right. So it was a must-have product, yeah, in that area. And I went to lawnmower shops, bought these old wrecked lawnmowers, which could be repaired. So I bought them for $10 or $15, put another $20 or $30 of equipment in to repair the spark plugs and this and that. And the total cost was around $50, $60, and I was selling these things for between $150 and $180, yeah? So basically 3 times the cost. But for the customer, that was half the price of a brand new one. So he was happy. I was happy. The guy selling direct lawnmowers, he was also happy as well. And we got the pricing just right, that I didn't sell it for 10%, 20% profit. I sold it at a price corridor which the customer would be able to pay, affordable, and happy doing that. So there's repeat business there. And that gave me a great deal of, again, a lot of financial independence and self-sufficiency here. But I think this is the sort of thing that I would like to also, expand with my people in the corporate culture that I'm talking about. They need to know the market. You need to go and look at the developments in the market. I mean, this digital technology that we have right now, it's making a huge change. It's a disruptive thing. And if you are not close to the market, if you're not following the customer requirements, and the customers have changed. The new customers in a lot of areas are Gen Y now. And Gen Y are digitally native people. So gone are the baby boomers who were born in 1965 or before, and in are the Gen Y people, and they have totally different requirements. So you as a supplier, if you are not able to meet the requirements of being able to sell online, and all these sort of things, and deliver within 2 hours or whatever, or within the same day, you're not in the game. It's as simple as that. You may have the best product, but if you're not able to meet the market requirements of the customer's expectations, which also change every 5 or 10 years, I must say, you can have the best product. It doesn't matter. It will just stay there in the shop and nobody will buy it. And we saw this during this Corona time as well. I mean, those supermarkets, which had a very good online platform, boomed in business, right? Where those that didn't, they had empty shelves and 2 miles of queues and a lot of unsatisfied customers, where the ones that were able to supply, they had a lot of satisfied, and loyalty increases after that as well. So these are the sort of things that I'm talking about and trying to sort of deploy in our organization and get our people to be at zero distance to the customer, at the market, and also follow the technological change and, of course, the change with the customer behaviors have as well through this technology as well.
Just talking about people, Stephen. So you already said that you kind of, as the leadership, you kind of framed the setting and just try to encourage, the people in order to foster for new things and also actually follow kind of the way how you did in your teenager times. So you need to have also the right people in order to kind of go into those areas. And I can actually, just confirm my colleagues here. So actually, you guys or your people or the colleagues from Turkey are really doing a great job in the current way. Actually, even though, especially since I know the backstories and also looked a bit behind the curtains in Turkey, and that is more astonishing as we know that we're undergoing a kind of a financial crisis as a Bosch, as a world, and back then, and on top of that, Turkey, as we all know from the media, is also kind of on top of that has also some difficulties there, but still you kind of managed to still coordinate these two worlds, so keeping the as we say the core business ongoing, and then still looking for new stuff where some other guys, some other departments or some other companies, they just cut off and then they just go back to their initial core business. And how did you do that? So what is your strategy behind that in order really to, and this also ties to what Uwe asked, so how did you manage to run both, even in these kind of really challenging and extreme conditions as we have right now?
Yeah, that's a good point, Levent. Most companies during times of recessions, they contract or they employ strategies or decisions which leads to contraction. Of course, you need to have a very strict cost discipline during this period of time, and you need to have very close, let's say, there is situational leadership. So based on the situation, your style of leadership changes, of course. However, we should also never forget that during these times, the greatest opportunities are out there in the market, because your competition is falling one by the wayside. So therefore, we should all accept the fact that we are strong. We have a strong brand. strong organization, and we have very, very good people. So let's deploy this when the competition is falling out. Let's deploy this into the market at this time rather than when there is more competition during the good times. Of course, in parallel, we managed this crisis period, the classical cost cutting, all that sort of stuff. That has to be, yeah? But why not take care of this opportunity? Why don't we identify this? So we've done this. I mean, I go back to online trade, basically. We have invested significantly into that as well. And in AA and PT areas, to give, of course, BSH as well. But basically in PT, we have sold items and at quantities that we have not been able to sell before online. And it's been great. We've been very close with our business partners through very good communication. And we've had over 400 video conferences with our business partners during the last 6 months. And being close to the market's requirements. Now, during the shutdown, demand did not come down to zero. It's just that people went home, but they still lived, and they also had demand. So, and it was the ideal time to sell lawn and garden equipment because the season here in Turkey was the perfect time. It was, April, May, June, the time when, you need that equipment, the seasonality. So we went really aggressive online, and then we worked with the likes of Amazon's and the local online platforms here in Turkey. And I can tell you that in May, on one of the platforms, just within 7 minutes, we sold 1,000 of these tightening accessory devices. 7 minutes, one platform, 1,000 of these PT products for accessories. Lawnmowers. Same thing. Within the month of May, online, we sold more lawnmowers than we had done traditionally in the past years in the first 5 months accumulated. Yeah. So, but of course, you've got to know this, and you've got to advertise and make your product availability, and you've got to make yourself attractive to the customer that you are the one that they should engage with, right? And therefore, being close to your customer, as I said earlier, following the developments and being very quick and proactive. I mean, you need to make decisions and implement within hours to get that opportunity of the window of opportunity, which is not always traditionally maybe half a year or a season. There you've only got hours or days to play with. So I think there again, having a company which is acting as one, that no barriers within departments, we can roll things out very quickly, change, creative ideas, these have all contributed. And as a result, I now have to do a bit more PR for my people. Our figures for Turkey, end of August, they are positive than the year-to-date figures from the previous year. And we're very proud of this. There is growth this year. Yeah. Perfect. And of course, growth on online sellouts is more than 253%, I can tell you. So it's been good. It's been great fun. I mean, we don't look for the time when we just put the boat onto automatic pilot and it just goes on steady wind. We thrive in storms, and that's where the real talent comes out. Not just in the captain, the whole crew. And this is what has been making it very much fun for us. Everyone is an entrepreneur. We all act as if this company was our own company. We all take discipline in our cost, but we're also pushing our limits for creativity and also looking beyond the horizon, because there is a world beyond the horizon. It's important that we get there first before the competition gets there.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I think it's a perfect ending. So, but before we close, maybe you just want to address the Turkish community, as we are now in a special situation. Son olarak isterseniz boşta çalışan Türk arkadaşlarımıza yönelik bir mesajda bulunmak ister misiniz? Ne kadar da gördüğüm kadarıyla yanlış takımı tutuyorsanız da yine de görmemezlikten gelebiliriz.
Beşiktaş'ı gördünüz arkada değil mi?
Aynen.
Oğlum Beşiktaş'ta oynadı, onun için o evde her şey siyah beyaz.
O zaman,
ben çok teşekkür ederim size, Michael'a, Uwe'ye beni davet ettiniz buraya. Çok keyifli bir sohbet oldu. Yani bu dönemde bu sohbeti yapmak bence çok anlamlı. Çünkü gerçekten bir değişimden geçiyoruz ve içinde bulunduğumuz son 6 aylık pandemi döneminde bu değişimin ne kadar gerekli olduğunu ve bir an evvel yapmamız gerektiğini. Türkiye ve Orta Doğu bölgesi olarak biz bu değişim yolculuğunu çok evvelden başlattık. Bahsettiğim gibi home office uygulaması 5 yıldır. Keyifli gidiyor. Sonuçlar da güzel. Buradan bütün bizi izleyen arkadaşlara hem teşekkür ediyorum destekleri için hem de herkese İstanbul'dan selam gönderiyorum. Kendinize iyi bakın, sağlıklı kalın, hoşça kalın. Michael, Uwe, it's been great fun. Very much appreciative of having me here, and I wish you guys all the best. Please stay safe with your families, look after yourselves, and I wish you all the best as well. Take care.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Perfect. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.